Hello and welcome back, friends, to another episode of Moments of Consequence. My name's Barrett. I have my friend here, Jake, with me. Jake, how are you this evening?
I'm good, Barrett. How are you?
Doing excellent. In the middle of a Warhammer Renaissance battle right now. I am playing Lizardmen versus Chaos, and I'm playing against Archon. So I'm very excited to record with you. We've had this scheduled for a couple days, and then hopefully get back to it. And I'm not killing Archon. I'm just trying to ignore him and send him on his way. So, but yeah, that's what I'm up to. And you've been getting quite a bit of games in. How has the battling been going?
Pretty good. I guess I don't want to give away too much since we'll be posting the battles, but yeah.
Any favorite armies or unique armies coming up in our battle report series that you're really excited for?
Well, I've used two newly painted kind of big characters in the last two. So two ago, I used Dieter Helsnick, recently painted, and just posted him up on the Facebook group.
Yep.
And he faced off against none other than Karl Franz. So that was fun head to head. And then I also painted up Keeper of Secrets. So I used the Keeper in my last battle. So
awesome.
Be
on the lookout for a brand new Keeper Secret hitting the fields near you soon. So hey, we've got some magic some magic stuff to talk about. There's been tons of changes this summer so far. Balder has been talking about the magic phase, and has been talking about different rules in the magic phase and different core rules. And so that's where we're going to start tonight. We're going to talk about the core rules for the magic phase. We had a conversation with Josh just probably a week ago or so. I don't know if that's been posted yet or not. Josh Van Zee, he's one of the guys out of Japan, a regular poster, a regular contributor to the group. And we almost got into
the one who does the Crown of Command podcast.
Yeah. The Crown of Command podcast. Yes, thank you. We got into a conversation, or started to get into a conversation, about magic on the first turn and playing the competitive rule set. And Jake and I have discussed a little bit off air. I'm a big believer in the competitive rule set. I kind of would like to get a new name for it, because it makes it sound like we're all a bunch of tryhards, when that's really not the case. Jake, what are your thoughts on the competitive rule set? I know I'm a big fan of them. And what do we mean when we say competitive rule set, just real briefly?
Yeah, so I think it is actually, competitive is not a bad word for it if you're describing the purpose of it, like for the context. So I think competitive actually means this would be good to use for a competition. And the purpose I think the competitive rules serve is kind of creating more of a regulated system for like army creation and stuff, like that you can't have a character over, a quarter of the value of a single model that's more than a quarter of your points, and you can't have more than two of the same. I can't remember. It's changed a few times, but you can't have just like a whole army of missile troops, like more than two of the same missile unit, I think now is what it is.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I think those kinds of things just make it so that there isn't like a really oddball army that then maybe kind of makes games less fun, because who would have paired that oddball armies? Demon and I don't know. I'm not sure what the army would be exactly, but I think that's sort of the purpose of the competitive rules, is just to make a competition more enjoyable. I don't think they really account for, are you going to play to try to like maximize the power of your army or not, because you can kind of do that regardless of competitive or non-competitive rules. And I think the no magic first turn is partly just this kind of helps save some time and make the games kind of run a little quicker, and is better for a tournament as well. So I think I think the word competitive is appropriate, but then it does sort of it can have a connotation that means, oh, you're intending to play in such and such a way, which may or may not be true.
Right. I think you make a great point with the magic phase turn one. I just got done. We're on turn 5 of this battle that I'm currently playing. And my brother, this is probably his second or third Warhammer Renaissance game. Probably double that as the amount of fantasy games he's ever played. So he's really on the low end of the stick. He hates the chaos rewards. 2 games in a row, he's drawn the card that is some cosmic duel, and it takes away a champion. And he was like, if I lose Archon, I'm quitting right now. And I was like, the dice gods will make sure you don't lose Archon. But anyways, he did not like the chaos rewards, and he really didn't like we had a very brief, and he didn't even know why I was asking him these questions, but I asked him, I said, how do you like the magic phase? Do you like the magic? He's like, I like the magic phase the least out of this. So to me, that was shocking. I was like, to me, it's the best part. He didn't bring enough magic defense, admittedly, he said, but like we play always with first turn magic turned off, because I love Baldur's explanation for it. The wizards are channeling the winds of magic, and I can just totally see the Total War 3 Warhammer Total War, where it's like I can see that visual, but I digress. He did not like the magic phase. He did not like that it was even a possibility to be turned on turn 1. He thought, oh my God, even more magic phase. And I think that's where I kind of circle back to, is like, I love magic phase. I think it's the magic phase. I think it's the most influential phase, right there with the movement phase. And I just think that you have the ability, like I still would want it turned off turn 1, because it's too much. It's just too much. It's really good. It's like too much ice cream. It's like, I love it.
Yeah.
It's just too much. So
yeah, I think just I agree. It's to me, it's not a matter of power, like that it becomes too powerful. For me, it's just a matter of the time spent. Like when you play a Warhammer battle, like I don't think it should be, 60% of the time spent playing should be in the magic phase. Like, to me, it just feels like too much. It just feels off in terms of like proportionality.
right.
I'd rather it just feel, a little less than that. And I also like the feeling of getting a battle started quicker. Like, I think that because it makes turn 1 usually very quick.
For sure.
And it's kind of nice to, kind of get set up, then kind of just get that initial turn done really quickly, and then you kind of feel like the battle's really starting. Those kind of feel like opening moves, and then your start turn 2, and then it's like, okay, now things are like really gonna start. And I just like that kind of feeling. I've noticed, going back and forth between sometimes doing turn 1 magic and sometimes not doing turn 1 magic. I feel that the turn 1 magic phase really kind of like bogs down the beginning of the game. It feels like a lot has happened, and you're only just getting to turn 2, and I don't know. I just like the feeling of that quicker start.
I love it. I think those are all really, really good points. I think that if you're reading this, and we've had some comments on our YouTube channel about how people have talked about how like they either don't like the magic phase, or they don't do the competitive magic phase rules, and they don't turn it off turn 1. I'm a big believer in it. I think Jake echoes those statements. He's a big believer in it. I just think it makes for a better game. It makes for a quicker game, more enjoyable. I do think that magic is still very, very strong, and I'm of the belief that if you turn it on turn 1, well, that's just 2 more turns for me to try to mill the total power, or find the stress your defenses, take away dispel scrolls even earlier in the game when it's way less impactful. I mean, it's just a cascading of what ifs that you can't even account for, all the different permutations and changes that would happen on a battlefield. Anyways, another thing that has been hotly talked about on our group has been the changes to teleport, and I will let you take the floor on this one to start. What are your thoughts on taking away the teleport and then charge into combat following that turn?
I'm really glad to see it. I mean, I think that it just became too much of a focal point of the game, because it was such a powerful possibility. And so then it became so much hinges on whether you have one of those movement spells, or if you don't. and if you do, kind of like when can you get it off, and so much in the battle is like hinging on that, that it just felt like it took up so much attention and space as like a thing that can happen, that it just, I don't know, it was just like too um it just sort of occupied too much space in the realm of here's how you can win a battle. And I think it's more fun when you have to be creative and come up with like, using things in a like creative ways, combining things, just more subtle sort of and various methods to win, rather than there just being this sort of one thing that very often is a sort of key component of winning. So yeah, I just think it's gonna open up the field for more different strategies kind of being used more equally, rather than that just being a focal point.
I turned my slan in this current battle that I'm sitting on right now. I turned my slan into the pivot that I've made and I've thought about for a long time. Is Amber is still great, and it plays a very control style of magic. So like Amber allows you to shut off pieces and make them so the way they have sixes to hit. It's a very, very strong controlling lore. I really enjoy that. I think the teleport changes are good. I'm super salty because like slans are really good at it and really benefited from teleporting around. And I have a question for you that I actually didn't prep you for this. So this is going to be this off the dome. But
oh boy.
So I was playing Teeny Weenie, which is a level 1 shaman who's a battle standard bearer, does some things, blah blah blah. I take Jade with him a lot. I take the Jade casket. I have a question for you, and I have a question for Balder. If I summon, so I love to run the Stegodon. It's a great piece. Stegodon dies, and I summon it back up with Jade casket. Can he charge the next turn? I summon the Jade casket, summon the Stegodon on your turn, on your magic phase. And then on my turn, can I charge? Does that count like a teleport? Because you can kind of set it up. You can kind of set up your Jade casket into a charge very, very similar to the teleport. Do you have it pulled up?
I would. It's not a teleport spell. So it doesn't fall under that description. It wouldn't fall under like those rules. So I would say it doesn't. There's nothing saying you can't. So
Right.
I'd say you can.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just saying that there's just different creative ways that you can now get around just slapping teleports around. You can now the revive spells, because there's also apotheosis in high magic too. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 iterations. I feel like it works the same way as skeletons and zombies, which again, all of these are grouped in the same question, right? If you raise something from dead, do you get to act and operate like normal? So yeah, Balder, if you're listening, Jake is first on the panel saying, hey, for sure, you can for sure charge and stuff. I agree with that. I just want to make crystal clear, sure, before I start beating my opponents with that little combo. Yeah, I think teleport's in a really good spot. It's been nerfed 3 years now,
and it's still so good. I mean, that's
so
the thing
good.
about, that's how you know we're in good territory, because I absolutely would still want teleport spells in my hand. So I don't think it definitely has not been an overcorrection in my view.
And I think it brings, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think it brings natural dispels back into the fold. I think it brings natural resists and spell, like it just brings all of that stuff back into the fold, where you're not just Staff of Three Sisters, everything. You can now get away with some 4-ups, natural dispels in places. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement. Teleport's in a good spot. Keep up the great work, Balder. We love it. We love where the game's at, and we just love and hope that it continues to go in such an awesome direction. Balder also this summer has done some really cool spell commentary updates. He is progressing through the college magics, and I believe he's only doing the college magics, but I feel like when we get to the end of the 8 colleges, he's going to probably look at those other lores and be like, I'm already halfway here. Like, let's go ahead and just finish it out and do Nurgle and Slanesh and Tzeentch. And I think it's just a huge benefit to the community. What are your thoughts on his spell commentaries?
Yeah, I was assuming he was just planning on doing them all. But yeah, I mean, it's really helpful because the spells do have, you know, unique and unusual effects. So I think it is often helpful. It is often needed extra clarification. So I think it's great to have that just written down in this really clear way that can be referenced in those moments when you're like, wait, if your general has what's that spell that the Omul that turns him into amber trance? You know, if
Yeah,
your
I
general's
used it
amber
today. Yeah.
tranced, he can't do anything, but can other troops still use his leadership? And like that was something he put in to, you know, like those sorts of things where it's like, well, is his leadership being used him doing something, or is that a passive ability? Like, I mean, that's not defined anywhere in the rules. So having it
Right.
clarified in that commentary is really the only way you could have it answered. Yeah, so one thing I really like about the items is how they bring out new possibilities without changing any of the spells themselves. Like it keeps the sort of source material of the game intact, but by creating just that set of items, he's now creating these new possibilities, these new ways the spells can be relevant in the game, these new ways you can build wizards for new purposes. So I think I just love the amount of new possibility that just creating some magic items will generate. And I love seeing some of those very rarely used spells propped up by the items, because I think that's just a great way to kind of give some of those really pretty bad spells like a bit of a lift. And yeah, so I'm glad. I think it was just like the perfect way for him to add something new into the game.
I agree. My favorite item of all the items is the jade one, the wand where you get to res people. My only thing that I was disappointed with Renaissance when I first came to it was I was so disappointed that you didn't have the ability to resurrect dead models like in a unit. Like, I know you had Jade Casket, but Jade Casket, it specifically states you have to create a new regiment. You have to create a new unit. You can't add it to a unit that already exists. So it really limits the use to like big creatures. And I've adapted my game to like include those and use those with Jade Casket. But to have an item or a spell, but really an item is really cool to be able to resurrect. Like, I'm thinking to do like the standard 7th or 8th edition Lizardmen with the Lore of Life that had like the Shield of Thorns, and then you could resurrect people. Like, I loved that combo. That was one of the combos that really got me into Lizardmen. And the ability to now resurrect units on successful casts, I think, are really cool. And I think the death one is really neat. What are some of yours that you really like just off the rip?
I think the Purple Reaper and the Cloak of Horrors, the two that enhance kind of close combat spells.
Mm-hmm.
I like those a lot because I like that it really makes it possible to say, I'm gonna, make let's say you're playing Empire, like a wizard on a war horse with the armor of Tarnus, and like he's going in a unit of knights, and like he's gonna go in hard and try to kill a bunch of people in close combat, because there wasn't really a great way to do that before. You just couldn't really know what spell you were gonna get, and it was pretty hard to pull off, and it was just too bad because those are cool spells. And like a wizard turning into a beast and ripping some people apart is a cool possibility, but I never saw it in a battle ever.
Me neither.
Yeah, I mean it's just
Me neither.
You can't really purpose build a character for that. Now you can. So I think that's very cool. I'm curious about what some of the protective ones, like the flame forged cape and the white cloak, that enhance some of the protective spells. The white cloak especially, that it makes the whole unit only be able to hit on 6s. I mean, that seems really powerful. I can't believe he only made it 10 points.
So the Amber Trance, no, I'm sorry, not it's the Curse of Aranir.
Yeah,
Amber does the same thing on a power 2. I think it's like 18-inch range.
it's
et
power
cetera, et
3.
cetera. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Power 3. That's right. Power 3. But
Yep.
man, yeah, anything to make somebody hit on natural 6s only is insanely strong in this game. Insanely
Yeah,
strong.
that's really. I mean, obviously you still have to cast a spell, and but yeah, what a great effect. So,
Ruinous if it gets on a unit and it sticks at the wrong
oh,
time. I mean, it's over. You lose the battle. If you, the one unit that wasn't supposed to get hit by it, the Archon unit with a bunch of Chaos Knights, all of a sudden they have to hit on 6s. It's over. It's over.
it's not gonna be good. That much is for sure.
That is for sure.
Yeah, and I do also like the Stormcrow staff, the Celestial one that's against flying units. I just think it's kind of cool to have just an option for anti-flying. I'd say my least favorite is the Amulet of Steel. I think the effect is just so small that I can't imagine why you would bother with it.
What is that effect?
So that's a bounce. It's it's 10 points, an arcane item, and bounce spell that can only be used by gold wizards. Cast upon a unit within 18 inches in line of sight. Enemy units suffer a -1 to their armor save, or you can cast it on a friendly unit and get a +1 bonus to your armor save. And the effect lasts until the next magic phase. So it's you either get a +1 or give the enemy a -1. To me, that just seems small, like a small effect.
How would you change it?
I'd make it +2, +2 or -2, and make it maybe some more points. But
so two questions with that. I love this. I love this discussion because this is awesome. So if you go +2 to the armor save, and you're gonna have to help me because this is like addition rules bleed. So I'm just trying to make sure I keep this straight in my brain with Renaissance. Can you go below a 1? Can you go to a 0 up armor save, or is it capped out at 1? And I have a follow up to that.
No idea.
Oh man, I'd love to know.
That's like this is like this is like quantum theory or something.
Because here's the thing: if you did it on like,
I get where you're going with this. Yeah.
Because could you go down to like a -1, and then if I hit you with a strength 6, and it's -3 to the armor save, are we like, okay, -1's gone, 0's gone, 1's gone? Oh, look at that! It's still a 2 up. Like,
yeah. I mean, that certainly makes sense, but
I think in one edition you could do it, but I don't know if you could do that in a bunch of editions. I think the norm is that you can't go better than a 1 up. And it's not cumulative. Like when it hits the floor, it's just a 1 up, and then it immediately starts coming up from there. But
I mean, I think that would probably be how I would think it should be.
I do too. But
so you wouldn't use that like on a Chaos Knights unit. You'd use it on, your Chaos Marauders or something.
Yeah, exactly. But like Marauders, though, going from like a 5 up or a 4 up armor save all the way down to a to a 2 or a 3 is insanely strong. That's
your Marauder Horseman would get a 2 up save if it had the +2.
So strong. So strong.
Awesome. Yeah. I think not that Chaos would have it. I don't know why we're using them why I started using them as the example, but Empire Knights and Empire Horsemen, Pistolier, whatever.
Right.
But I like the idea of it. -1 is just like a little too subtle. Like it's like a nice little bonus, but it's only going to have an effect 1 out of 6 times on your dice rolls. So it's like it'll save like 1 guy on a unit that's actually getting shot at or fighting or something. I don't know.
The plus might be too strong, but you have me intrigued with the -2. You have me intrigued by making it like a helping can opener. You know what I mean? Like, hey, here you go. Now can open those knights real quick.
Yeah. So I think it'd be cool. Because I mean, there's spells that are no armor save. So it's not like armor always works. Magic taking away 2 armor. I think.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. I think it's a very cool set of items.
I think it's a great set of items. Yep. I'm so excited that he has done that for us. I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that you can like edit, this is another like ability to change and influence the magic phase and the spells without actually taking away from the source material and messing with the spells. My buddy Kindle had a suggestion for Baldur, and we talked about it, and I thought, interesting. The point values for the top of the book, so like everybody looks at the items between about 10 and about 50 points is usually about where people can stomach spending points on items, at least in my experience and with my group, and looking at other lists online and looking at other people's battle reports. Like, I'm not seeing a lot of Abolisher blades. I'm not seeing the Wanda Jet very often.
Right.
Not that we need these really powerful magic items to like be in the game. Like, we don't. There just gets to be a point ratio with the item strength that it just hits a no return past like 50 or 60. I don't know what we could do about that. I don't really have a suggestion, but like, either the magic points got to come down on the top end, or there's got to be more little things, or we got to increase the little things to make the big things. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm wondering some of those. I don't know. I mean, in a way, some of those are just classics that I just think you got to leave them, like the Hellfire Sword. I mean, I think some of those you just have to leave as they are. But yeah, I wonder with some of them if there'd be a way to kind of keep the core ability, but then maybe make it, sort of like the Chalice of Sorcery, where it's like, you take a wound when, where it could be something like that, like the Hellfire. I wouldn't want to change the Hellfire Sword, but maybe the Hellfire Sword, maybe on a 1, every combat you use it on a 1, you get a wound from fire going everywhere from that thing because it's crazy.
And then subsequently bringing the points down with that,
yeah,
right?
That's
with
my point. That'd be a way to like keep the power level high, but then give it a sort of, something that detracts in another way, and then brings the points down. Sort of like the Fellblade for Skaven. It's like really powerful, but it wounds your guy because it's like so powerful. Or Foreign Sword, which is
Foreign
really
is the one I think of all the
time. That's like the taking it all the way to a 0-point item level. But yeah, I
don't need anything
like,
that crazy.
I wonder if for like a few items there could just be a way to say like, yeah, let's keep the main effect, but like, okay, let's look at the where's the Wand of Jet? Oh, there it is. Oh, it's only 80 points. What's there's that crazy Empire one, the Staff of Volans. It's like 150 points.
And then there's a high elf one too that is just as ridiculous. Yeah, that it's like you get them all for 1 less power, and 3 times you get an auto cast something. I think the Staff of Volans is 3 times you get a auto cast, like you just not total power it.
I got it up. Yeah, Staff of Volans is 200 points, and you get 3 total power casts with it.
I have had that used against me. I think so, like,
that's
yeah, it's good.
It's fun. I don't know. Maybe it's all perfect.
Maybe it is. I just feel like I run into the same. I for the value of what I'm trying to do, there's just very few items that are going to be better than the Blade of Darting Steel. All hits automatically. All you auto hit. Or the Blade of Sword of Teclis, where all hits automatically wound. Like, either one of those is just like, it's really hard. It's really hard to go to the next level up in items because there's so many more points. Fitting them into the competitive rules packet is really hard. I'm just gonna stop at like either auto hitting or auto wounding, and sometimes the Dragon Blade where I multiply them out. Very rarely though anymore. Very rarely.
That is pretty dependent though, like what is like just the right item. I think that is partly an interaction of what the profile of the character is. Like for Slan, that makes sense that those would be the 2, but for a lot of characters, neither of those are very good, because like Blade of Darting Steel, if you're only a strength 4 character, it's like, who cares if your hits hit? You're only strength 4.
Right.
If all your hits wound and you're strength 4, well, what if they have got armor?
Right.
then it's not going to be that great either. So, I do think I think there's sort of a sweet spot for a lot of profiles. Like I really like the Dragon Blade for vampires because they have the high strength and they've got a lot of good amount of base attacks already. So the
Good
Dragon Blade
weapon
is just
skill.
multiplying on what's already good, and it's not that expensive. So anyway, I do think that almost to me it's a totally separate problem than what Kendall brought up, but how the same item is going to be really good depending on the profile of the character, right? If you have Blade of Darting Steel on something with 8 attacks, and low weapon skill, that's going to be amazing. If you have the Blade of Darting Steel on something with 2 attacks, it's not going to be as good.
I agree. Good, agree completely. And a lot of my meta shapes a lot of how you perceive the game. The armies you own shapes how you see the game. And my armies are very much, I have Chaos and Lizardmen, and those are my two that so I have really good characters at all times, everywhere I go, no matter what I do, really good characters. So so I do get a little samey with my items. But I will say this, when you do change things, we do have to adapt and play different things. I'm right now playing a battle with Slan that is using Amber instead of the teleport spells. I'm having a blast. Intended effect accomplished. I am playing with different lores, trying to make it work, trying to win with different systems now because of the magic changes, teleport changes, all that stuff.
Is your Slan eyeing any of those new items?
So we've done in our group, we've decided to do the teleport change because we're almost certain that it's going to go through, like 99.9% sure that it's going to go through. It feels better.
Everybody's go through.
I'm assuming Baldur is going to make it official in 2024. There's people in my group who only want to play the 2023 rules in a vacuum. Okay.
I always am just like, whatever the latest directive is just, that's what Warhammer Renaissance is, because why would you not be playing the latest? But
no, agree. There's just people in our group that
that makes sense. I just haven't ever really approached it that way.
Yeah. So we went ahead and implemented the teleport changes. We feel like those are going to be absolutely come into the 2024 book. We did not do any of the magic items, and we've basically said we're going to let the open source.
Oh yeah, let it play out a little more.
We're going to let it play out. Yeah. And then we'll come back to it when it's in the book officially for 24. We'll play those rules. And that's just kind of how our group moves from edition to edition. Yeah. We love doing it we love just Renaissance. I mean, we love not having to chase editions. This last weekend, Warhammer 40K 10th edition just came out. And I only played like 2 games of 9th. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I've played Renaissance for 4 years and it's basically been the same game with no new rules and no new additions has just been a godsend. It's been so cool.
Yeah. I do think it's true though that it even relatively small changes to some of the most influential things, it really is nice to have. It really does kind of break the risk of stagnation. So I think even small changes like tweaking those most prominent dynamics like teleport spells and then sprinkling in some things like these new items, I think that's really healthy for kind of keeping enough freshness in a really solid rule set that absolutely does not need to change, but that just gives it that now I've got this new idea of a wizard and a unit of knights, something that you just really, there wasn't really a great way to do it before, and now it's like this cool new thing to try next battle that you're excited about. That's, to me, that's great.
So cool. I agree completely.
Casey and I, this is the Wood Elves versus Chaos 3,000 point battle. I used a drain magic in response to a total power, and Baldur pointed out that that's not how the rules work. You can't use a drain magic to stop a total power spell, which I didn't know, and I talked to Casey about it today, and he's like, I didn't know that either. He's like, I thought drain magic just stop the magic phase like dead in its tracks. Like that's kind of how I thought of drain magic, where I kind of picture like you're just like pulling the anything magic is just shut down. So that's how the rules are. But we talked about it, and we both actually kind of think it should be that way. Primarily just in the sense that it kind of brings a balance to the deck of magic cards, where there's one total power card that can just get through everything, but then there's one drain magic card that can just stop anything. And the drain magic is costly to use, like you might lose a level. So to me, it seems like actually kind of a nice balancing within just that deck of cards, because otherwise, the only thing that can stop a total power is a Dispel Magic Scroll, which you have to like buy. Like it's a magic item. And I don't know, I sort of like the idea of there being one thing in the deck that counters that other thing. And I like that it's a costly option. Like if you want to do it, you're putting your wizard, brain power on the line. So it's not like it's just some, oh, well, I just happen to have like, I don't know, something easy. Something that doesn't cost you something.
In his spell commentary, he really should put something down. He should go back through the special cards, right? And he should really detail, because like some of this interaction is if I have total power and you have drain magic, the card in your hand, that's not a situation that comes up very often.
No, it'd be a pretty rare, it would not be a super common thing.
Right.
I mean, I guess one thing that might happen is you might, retain the drain magic card, thinking, okay, the total power is still out there. I'm going to hold on to this drain magic. For that would become a little bit too much of a recurring scenario, but still you have to put your wizards, a level on the line, and losing a level for your wizard is usually not great. So it's still like a costly thing to do. I don't know.
And if I know, I really like it. I like the train of thought you're on, because if I'm going to pocket, let's say I only have one or two wizards and I'm going to pocket drain magic with them. The drain magic has to be used with the person who pocketed it. So like if that wizard for whatever reason dies or flees or can't do anything or can't activate, blah, 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 like then you can't use it. So that's a way to counter that interaction that you were talking about. And then the second interaction too would be if I have there's other ways to cast total powers. There's other ways to get drain magics. I think you're onto something. I think if you make drain magic interact with total power in that way. I played it the other way. And in fact, what's crazy is when you told me this story, my interaction interpretation was different than what even yours was. And I think it's different than the books, because my interpretation was when drain magic happens, the spell that happens right before it goes off, and then everything is drained in response. So like the doom bolt goes off and then drain happens and drains everything. But I think it works differently based if it's high magic or if it's this special card drain magic.
Yep.
So
yeah. So and then you did bring up, that led us to this other thing of, could you still use a drain magic on a card cast with total power? It wouldn't stop the total power, because total power specifies it's not stopped by drain magic. But drain magic doesn't say you can't use this in response to a total power. So in that scenario, it seems like what would happen is the total power spell would go off, and then the drain magic would go off. And there might be some situation where you might want to do that, like maybe if it was a remains in play total power spell, or I don't know. But as the rules are written, it doesn't say you can't drain magic in response to a total power spell. It's just that the total power spell won't be dispelled.
Right.
So right. I don't know. It's a kind of opened up that question. So
no, I agree. That is a great interaction question. Another one for Balder. Balder, we're just peppering you in this one. We're just peppering you.
Yep.
But yeah, Jake, this has been really good. I think we've turned over all the stones. What do you think?
I think so.
I really like where everything's at. it's been a great summer so far. I know we've been busy and the videos have been a little less sparse, but we're trying to keep some consistent, even if it's a slow drip, keep a slow drip coming instead of here's all the videos we've got and we'll see you back in 4 weeks. Like we would try to slow drip it to you guys, and we're really excited. We've got a lot of fun things planned. Hopefully some more improvements to the battle report series, things that we are working on. And we are so looking forward to continuing to play Warhammer Renaissance and this great rule set. Jake, my friend, any thoughts?
Just excited for the next battle, whatever that may be.
Whatever that may be. Signing off, friends. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Barrett.
See ya.
Bye.